Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and Bricky made a video called Moonbreaker is good and I'm losing my mind. Now, I've never heard of this game Moonbreaker, but just pulling it up, the first image I see is Mass Effect, so frankly, I'm going into this really hoping it's good because I could really use a good Mass Effect game because after the third game came out and they never did anything else with it again, I was kind of just sitting there going, you know, I really wish they would make something else. And that's the exact thought process I had, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form repressing anything that made me wish that it hadn't happened ever. Yeah. More importantly, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up and let's get started.
I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. And
never had any
whenever
idea.
I say that, people ask, Bricky, have you seen The Expanse? And I always say, no.
Oh yeah, there's an Expanse TV show. I've read the books, not all of them. I still need to find the last few. For some reason, I just can't. I don't want to go on Amazon. I keep forgetting there's a TV show I can check out. It's probably on Amazon as well, isn't it?
Never have myself. Always met with an immediate rebuttal of how could you have not? Lo and behold, fate invites me with an email to be a part of a major Telltale Games revitalization and Expanse game sponsorship.
I have never been this excited for a sponsor read. I love this series. It is dark and heartwarming, but disturbing, and has body horror, but also metaphysical aspects, and just every single book is slightly different from the one before in tone, but they all feel like progressions, and I just absolutely love this series. I need to find actually, never mind. I don't need to find the next book. I need to go out there and find hardback copies of every single one of the series, because this is one of those series where I want that. And it's not a short series either. Not like Wheel of Time long, but honestly, I think it's probably closer to Harry Potter long at this point. Oh, I need to play this game. There's just no doubt.
Studio behind the
not a big fan of Walking Dead, but I am a huge Expanse fan.
Are back, full stop, and are making an Expanse Telltale game.
Why
this isn't just
did I not know about this?
No. It's come join us.
No, literally, I'd never even heard of this game.
Meet the actress who plays Captain Drummer, the main character of the game, and
they're slightly more pulled out, so it's probably Spacer.
Bunch of stuff from the actual show, real props, all dedicated to the Expanse TV show. And I kind of want to watch the Expanse now. And for the most part, if
I need to watch the show, and apparently I need to play the game. I'm not sure if you could tell, but I'm a little bit excited about this. I hide it well.
You're familiar with Telltale Games, you know, the storytelling, the character development, the choices you make. This is right at home. Like, it feels so obviously Telltale. I played about 30 to 45 minutes of the game, and it's exactly how I remembered it. I made like 3 to 4 game-changing decisions in the 30 to 45-minute game time I had. I was picking up all kinds of slang and lingo throughout, like belters, I think it's skinnies. I guess skinnies is a bad word. And
it's basically, I'm just going to do this because I'm talking about the freaking promo he's talking here, man. I don't care. Skinnies is basically what you would call someone who was born and lived in outer space because they never had gravity to make their bones more dense, so they're longer. They've grown up and out, which really, honestly, wider might be a better option. But the general consensus is because there's less gravity, they're not as stout, so they're longer. So when they're called skinnies, it's people who could not survive in gravity because their bones would literally shatter under their own weight. Yeah, so skinny is like saying, ha, you'd die if you tried to walk where I live.
Yeah, there are a couple things, like as I'm walking around the ship, the animations aren't particularly great. They feel a little stiff, a little stilted there. But honest to God, it makes me care a lot less because one, it was obviously a pre-release build, and two, they're letting me say that in the sponsorship. That means...
Wait, this is the pre-release? It's not out yet? Maybe that's why I haven't heard of it. Maybe I'm not behind the times. How long ago did this game? It's a year ago. Fuck. Wow, almost exactly a year ago at the time of recording this. Wow.
Everything to me. I really enjoyed my time. It was a great event.
The
game was interesting, fun. I was impressed with how telltale-y it was, and I think you should genuinely give it a look. You can find it down there in the description on a multitude of platforms: PlayStation, Xbox,
it's
Epic
Expanse.
Games Store,
it's like the main
episode 1
like
is out
trope
July
for the entire
27th,
series.
with more episodes out every 2 weeks after that. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video, Telltale, and let's talk about Moonbreaker.
Unironically, has he made an actual video on that game fully yet? Because I want that. Unironically, I am as hyped as I thought it would be for something that's a Mass Effect game. I didn't know there was a Telltale game for freaking The Expanse, man. I'm actually really excited about this. Oh God, there's times where every now and again the ad read gets me. This is one of them. And now for a regular scheduled video. What the? Why do I recognize that song? Oh! Undertale. That's Undertale. It's one of the remixes of Undertale. Hopes and Dreams. Yeah, that would do it. This is not Mass Effect, but it has a lot of minigames. Wait, are you just creating your own characters? Oh. Average player is 5? Oh. This game had a very low player count.
Let me pitch you a video game. It's a turn-based PvP one-on-one strategy game. In this game, you have a roster. This is a major character called the captain and a bunch of little individual models known as your crew. Now, you load into the game with a little XCOM, a little Hearthstone, and a little Warhammer Mechanicus. As the game goes on, you fight over territories and captains, allowing you to bring in your crew as the game progresses. All of your units have special abilities, buffs, debuffs, special attacks, manipulation.
And you're basically painting them up and probably even a building mechanic as if you're playing a model game as opposed to a video game.
Control, and you utilize these in ways to defeat your opponent. Then, when you're done with your game, you can head to the paint gallery and customize each of your models to your heart's content, utilizing all kinds of painting techniques like
even
dry
shading?
brushing, airbrushing, stippling, washes, and so on, all built.
Wow. I can see why he would like this game just because it's basically a cleaner version of painting your own models. If only they would, you know, if they had this exact game, but just branded for Warhammer, I think this would probably sell really well with the people who really wish they had the brush control to paint their own models like that. I have no idea who that would apply to.
Within the game's systems. These newly made models, which you've made your own, are then voiced by some of the top voice talent in video games right now.
Grabbing a naughty one.
Need half a second.
It's within my grasp. Who you need gone.
Don't mind the woman behind the big gun.
This game, headed by the developers Unknown Worlds, famously known for their outstanding survival game, Subnautica. And if that wasn't enough, it's topped off by a lore universe written by esteemed author Brandon Sanderson.
Okay, wow. I just geeked out over The Expanse, and the only thing I like more than that series is anything Sanderson has written. I haven't read, actually, no, I think I did hear the White Sands audio adaptation. It wasn't the comic, but it's something that followed in the same universe. I've read Mistborn, It's Amazing Way of Kings. Oh, I don't think I've actually got to this one in the background yet, because that's the new one in the secondary timeline coming on the Mistborn series in that world. Oh, if he wrote this, I'm not sure I'd play the game, but if he wrote anything for it, I would read a guidebook he wrote about this thing.
With multiple high-quality audio dramas detailing the captains and universe.
How did I not know of this? I don't even care about the game, I just want this. If I have to buy the game to get this, I will do this.
This game would be called Moonbreaker. And at the time of recording this, it would have had an average 24-hour player count of 15. This
I'm not going to add to that player count, but I will probably buy the game if I can get the audio for that.
Is frankly unacceptable. But my opening
I don't play
spiel
PvP. I don't
was
care
not
about
one
it.
of those situations where I discuss all the reasons the game should be good. Moonbreaker is good, excellent even. And as an early access game, it puts AAA products to shame with its innovation, character, and deep as the Mariana fucking Trench level of gameplay systems. See, if you're a fan of Warhammer, like many of you are, this game checks so many boxes overall. Not only does it have one of the most robust painting systems I've seen in a video game, but it's painting that can be generally utilized, because Moonbreaker is a small scale Warhammer style kind of game with like the kill team and stuff with excellent voice acting, animation, and strategy.
Unironically, I'm kind of surprised they haven't just reached out to Warhammer or I was going to say WotC, that's a completely different system, but the guys at GW Games Workshop, and see if they can get a brand license for that, because if it already is so close to what they want, why not just go for the full Monty on this one? It just occurred to me, I'm using the phrase full Monty, and I don't actually know what that means. I hope that doesn't mean anything bad because that would be embarrassing. I like to say horrible things when I actually know what they mean. Thank you. Probably means some kind of slur at this point. Oh, geez, I probably should cut it out. Whatever. Gotta live and learn unless I find it out. I'm not going to Google it on stream. Wait, I'm not streaming right now. I could do that. Although I'm lazy, so I won't.
The game goes like this. It's a sci-fi style world with all kinds of wacky characters that range from nobles and honor-bound guards to raiders and scavengers and then plants. Oh, there's so many plans.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of teeth.
Before starting a game, you create a roster. This roster consists of a captain and 10 crew. And there are no restrictions on what crew you want to bring. If you take the swashbuckling ram...
Oh, so he has like the metal bits, but then he has like a hologram style paint job on top of him? Oh, that's actually really cool.
Shackle Zax Jakar, you can still totally fill his crew with nothing but plant people. And in a sense, at this point, you can just jump into a game. Your captain is dropped down first on one of many rather pretty looking maps, and you get your eye on the current objectives, major ones, and then little cinder piles.
I see why
to the side
Warhammer would affect it. Primary and secondary objectives.
The goal is one of two: either gain victory stars by starting your turn in control of these 3 objectives, or kill the enemy captain. But to do so, you'll need some Cinder. Cinder represents action points. Gathering these allow your captain and crew to use abilities. And you get more Cinder each round, along with more and more points to summon new crew. And crews scale in power, so simple, cheap crew can be dropped earlier, while more expensive, powerful crew come later.
So you're not starting with everyone.
The objective is simple. Get enough victory points or kill the enemy captain. Both are completely valid options and have their own school of play. How you do so depends.
So there would be a time where you have one player playing one objective with the other player playing a counter objective trying to kill you. And it really just comes down to how quickly do you find out what you want to do versus how quickly do you find out what they're going to do. Because if you're both going for the same objective, you have to apply one strategy. But if they're going for the objectives and you're going for their captain and they don't realize by the time you've been sniping their boss, I don't know the range. Maybe that's not possible, but it seems like the big one that would force conflict would be getting the cinders then. And then learning what they're trying to do to try and defend or play against it.
Depends on the game plan you've set up with your team and how you want to react to the enemy. Because most crew have between 6 to 12 health for the most part.
That's not a lot.
Outliers here
Not
and
too
there,
bad.
But the captain is 25.
Oh.
So killing the captain is an exercise in attrition. Maybe it's
So
better
you
that
need a
camp the
lot of chip
objectives and
damage.
win by points. But the enemy can stop your objective by just standing on it. You can have 5 people on it and they can have 1, and that's all they need to contest. And
Oh god, that's 8th and 9th edition Warhammer rules when it came to objective. You have it or you don't.
That's
Right,
where
was that
things
ninth?
get wild.
I know it was 8th.
Oh boy, there are so many fucking strategies in this game. I feel like I'm going insane.
I mean, you're a guy on YouTube and I'm reacting to you. Honestly, I don't do that for people who are not slightly insane. So let's just be honest here. I have no idea what I'm saying, but I enjoy saying it. Insanity's fun.
Winning the game, oh, it's simple, right? But then you get to the units. Oh
What?
no.
So how crazy do they get?
The ceiling is infinite.
Oh? Oh, it's a Gojo meme. Yeah, and Bricky's being... They do look cool.
Let's say we get my boy Maximus.
I'm missing a massage for this.
He's a super cheap cost, and he hits for only 1 damage at range, but he's got rapid fire, allowing him to pop, 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 2-tap. But hitting an enemy refreshes his move. So he pops out, blasts you, and dips away. Good harassment, and that mobility can make him really good.
Really good at stealing objectives or getting the Ember early on, so he's almost necessary.
At taking
And he has range,
objectives,
too.
Pop him out, shoot you, and get even closer. Ooh, let's get slightly more expensive. Beatrice
Ready for swift action.
is a 2-cost large melee unit. She's slow, but she's got armor, which reduces all damage she takes by 1. And her melee is a long spear line, allowing her to hit enemies
AoEs
behind
technically.
her main target. Now, Airier, my beloved,
Let's get it on. From a distance.
is this
Ah! Okay, he has a perfectly justifiable reason for that. This actually looks an amazing game. Why is it not taking... It's an alpha. Maybe it just didn't have good marketing or any at this point?
sniper character. Moonbreaker has range. The farther you are, the harder it is to hit people. This is represented by a percentage to hit.
Oh, so it's not just Warhammer, you're in range or you're not, and then you see if it hits. It's more close to Battle... I was going to say Battlestar Galactica. Wow, I don't even know why I said that. Battletech, where distance does factor into different range variations. Huh,
that gets
that's a really cool
smaller
intro.
with range, or through other things like units and cover. But Airier has a big-ass gun. And
Yes.
she's kind of a loner.
Please don't make me mingle.
So she
Yeah, I
has
get
a
that
two
feeling.
cinder cost ability to give her 75% more accuracy so long as she doesn't move or take damage. That
And if she's at range and she has no accuracy, suddenly going up to 75% from nothing, unless it's a percentage of 75% of what you already have, as opposed to 75% just added in. That would be a very big difference.
3 damage shot is really gonna hit. Oh, and she also has ambush, a keyword that lets her be deployed anywhere and not just near your captain. Oh,
You could drop her in onto an objective so she doesn't just harass people, but she can force them to defend their captain while also, or taking out all their troops at a distance with accuracy while still taking over the random location you want, but they just aren't fighting for yet.
and don't think we're stopping anytime soon.
That's not even
It's
it.
time for Dome. The
What?
Aegis Defense Dome, also known as motherfucking Dome, is an AoE that reduces all damage every one of your crew takes in it by 1, allowing you to have some infuriating turtle compositions.
Because that first guy who does damage of 1, if it's capped at a minimum of 1, it doesn't do anything. But if it's capped at, it just reduces it by 1 flat, then you render the early guys useless. Oh, but I'm assuming because it's so big and powerful, it probably does cost a bit.
But oh no. He's behind
What?
me, isn't he? It's him.
What the hell is
Destroyer
that thing?
Of galaxies. Tipu. The Destroyer of Galaxies is a 4-cost, 3 damage melee crew with 12 health. But every single time
Good
Tipu
bit.
attacks, Tipu gains a permanent +1 damage and +1 health. Tipu can become a problem. Oh,
So if you can get him in and just get him fighting chaff early on so they can't hit back, he gets more health. He doesn't just recover it, but he gets more. And he gets stronger so he grows as you go. So you'll want to have some big scary thing to be a distraction Carnifex until he becomes the ungodly monster. Or you use that and hope no one notices him. But if they do, you ignore the big ungodly distraction Carnifex who could still fuck you up.
and how could we ever forget the 7-cost Florio Lancer,
What the
a
hell?
gigantic artillery barrage from across the goddamn screen?
Oh!
Now, young chap, you might be thinking to yourself already, you said Beatrice has armor, which reduces damage by 1, and motherfucking Dome reduces damage by 1. Does it stack? Why, yes, it does. Did you know
They let you
when
do that?
attack an enemy and they are within melee range of
Sorry. Magic the Gathering player mindset going right now. I'm just thinking, ooh, you can combo? So many games, freaking Warhammer included, don't like that, and they don't let you stack abilities nearly as much anymore because they found out how powerful that is. But if they actually let you, I kind of wish this wasn't one-on-one as opposed to, player versus environment or PvE, because I would just like to go against an AI with ever-increasing challenges on this thing. It's the social aspect I don't think I would like as much. But it sounds like
Once
a
you're
nice
done,
aspect.
They will strike you back as retaliation. Remember when I said Tipu gained a permanent attack and health every time it attacks?
Yep.
Every time? You want to know why Tipu
Oh, it's not hit or
is the
kill, it's
destroyer of
attack.
Galaxies? Hey,
How many
look,
attacks does he get?
It's Drum Dancer Tali. She has an ability to give a unit pummel,
Oh, it's actually
which allows it
called
to strike twice. Oh, look, I'm running Astra. She's my captain. I can spend Cinder for Into the Breach, which
does
allows
it
me
do?
to refresh a unit's attacks, move, and abilities. Oh, right. Drum Dancer Tali's ability is pummel for the whole turn. What the Tipu doing? Oh, nothing. Just dismantling society as we know it. Much like my fancy exterior skin I made myself. Society exterior. I should not be letting your
He literally just did a Joker mask version. Oh my god, I don't even.
paintbrush. Ironically, Tipu, Destroyer of Galaxies, can't do that anymore with the Astra refreshing the range thing.
Oh.
But still, it's
Oh,
pretty
they
ridiculous,
did nerf
right?
it?
They
Damn.
realized it was too strong, so. But this isn't even the beginning of the shit you can do. Chuck
Makes
and
sense.
Co is a really solid unit. Good health, armor, just functionally pretty nice. Chuck and Co can also, fling enemies in the direction he's facing.
Oh, they
Chuck,
can just move them out of the
doing
way.
1 damage and generally being pretty good displacing people. See, I found out though a while ago that Chuck can fling anything, be it ally, enemy, or even item. See,
Wait, what?
Zax is
Item?
a captain known for his ranged manipulation. His gun knocks back enemies, and he has a black hole portal to suck people in, and he can drop a mine. Now, this mine takes a full turn to arm, but when it's armed, once
So you could arm the mine, fling it at enemies who are already cleaned up. How much damage does it do?
it is touched, it will explode for 3 damage in an area. Now, what if I said Chuck doesn't need to be in base-to-base contact to fling something? Who's to say
Wait,
I
what?
haven't delivered a mine towards an enemy once or twice? Who's to say I haven't flung my own Tipu, destroyer of galaxies,
Takes
towards
damage,
the
but he
enemy?
can get it back.
Which doesn't count as movement, mind you. And then Tipu has closed the distance and rendered buttholes sundered. Airier, my beloved, is a great ranged character, as we have mentioned. But what if you had Deadeye? Deadeye can give
What?
a unit 40% increased accuracy for 2 turns. And what if Taria Arsenal,
Oh, that is
who
an
gives the unit
wow.
rapid fire to double shoot, happened to be by her? And just
So many stacking. I'm sorry. I'm having a Magic the Gathering moment right now. All these things, all the combos, all this. If this wasn't PvP, I would completely get this right now. Wow, this is a much more expensive video than I expected because, I mean, between the Expanse game and this, and reminding me that I still need to start painting some models. Oh.
what if someone like Amplifier Bitol was around, giving Airier
Captive.
extra damage? Could
What?
that mean I could feasibly do 8 damage to whatever I wanted at any target in the open? Perhaps. Oh, and Taria and Deadeye have guns too, you know. Furia is a high-cost unit. Big, beefy. Every turn you don't shoot her, she gains 3 damage and takes 1 damage. This
If you have any way to heal her or even negate with a shield, if it would affect that, letting her shoot twice would make any weight more than worth it.
stacks, as long as you'd like it to. But I'm running Zuna, who can put a buff on a crew member to regen 3 HP to them every single turn. So I can just sit in the back, charge Furia up, over and over and over again, until her next shot will one-shot the enemy captain. All I
And that would be a strategy, would depend on her ranges. Holy sh... If he's trying to sell me on this game, he's doing a great job. I just want to know, why is it doing so bad though? Is it just because it's an alpha, or is there something that actually is crippling?
need to do is, you know, keep her safe.
Ah, yes, the Evangelion music. So people know how terrifying she is. And she moved. Dead.
That's fine. We have Tipu, destroyer of galaxies.
Oh, God. Might not start as strong, so people
I
ignore
can
it.
be here like forever, man. And you know
That
what? Maybe I shouldn't
Constantine
stop. Here's some more.
champion?
Hidden Run is a melee version
What?
of Maximus, where she strikes for a whopping 4 damage and then can move again. But why not make her an assassin?
What?
Get Drum Dancer on her, double attack, and then use Gardener Captain to nest an area with increased movement, giving her 9 speed for the movement. One of the fastest units in the whole game, and have her run up, deal 8 damage to some poor son of a bitch, and run away. Rinse, repeat. Flurry
So you're basically just, whoever sets up their entire combo first has a massive advantage on just murderizing the enemy.
is about as calm as, well, you know, most chefs.
This is all your fault!
And
Honestly, that's completely inaccurate. He hasn't said at least 3 different slurs insulting everyone's nationality possible, and a few nationalities you didn't even know existed, but suddenly realized you were part of just to make it more offensive. I've only worked with a few chefs, but they are all monstrous and seem to take humanity as an insult on its face.
does 3 damage to everything in an area after taking damage. It's taking damage
What?
from anyone. So the damage he takes from a retaliation melee, the damage he takes from AoE, perhaps the damage he takes from you. Gaslight him, girl boss him, gatekeep him, and smack
What?
your own unit to watch him kill every one of
So-
theirs.
You basically have a suicide bomber at this point where he jumps in, loses his cool, blows up in the enemy's face, and then keeps doing it over and over again if they have a retaliation. Or if you have a guy who can shoot twice and just triggers the attack twice. So even the level 1 guy they started this with would be useful against him as your own teammate.
No, it's a continuous loop. Oh, what's that? You don't have enough AoE stuff to hit him with? Oh, well, lucky you. You have arms dealer Yuki, which gives...
Wow. I almost wish this was a model game because that is a thing. Their entire shop is the mech they're standing on. Holy shit.
Which gives
They just
all
keep getting
nearby
bigger.
allies a one-use grenade, mine, or flamethrower. It doesn't
What?
stop. It genuinely doesn't stop.
Just
Every
give
single time
flamethrowers?
I discover new concepts, new builds. I craft ridiculous shit. And what's insane is that, sure, I mean, some of the stuff I've told you about sounds OP, and sure,
This
some enemies
isn't?
get buffs and nerfs here, but let me tell you that there's a counter to all of it. Pacifier O'Teal? Yeah, I'm still going. He's a pacifist, so their ability is... Return any crew back to the bridge. I mean, of course, the enemy can summon them back, but the turn you summon something, they're stunned with summoning sickness.
So he's basically a bounce, and it's the character's ability, so he can do it more than one time. So you have to focus on attacking him, but he's not going to do damage. He just gets rid of a bit. Oh.
Can't do anything. So imagine spending all that power on Tipu just to have him yeet all the way back to the ship. Or how
And if you
about
get him in
Torian,
late enough, it doesn't
who
matter.
gives himself and the closest ally 50% harder to hit on the accuracy table. And then you play
50. Oh. I mean, in no modifiers at all, that's huge. With a lot of modifiers, you could basically say, nope.
Zuna, who can create an obscuring bubble, making it even
Small
more
bubble.
reduced. So you're in melee range with these fools, and you might not even hit them. Savria Safeguard. She can make the next time a unit takes damage reduced to 0.
Oh.
1 damage, 5 million damage, it's 0. Fate
Useful
Twister
if you can figure it
Tangent.
out.
Make it so the next time an enemy attacks, it will always miss. Or one of your allies, and it will always hit. For every
Oh, that is so conditionally amazing. You got to figure out, is it worth it to try and take the hit to do the damage, or do I need to take or save the hit so I can do damage later? Ooh. And if it's not a one-time usage, that could be even more powerful.
crazy combo, there is a crazier one that can stop it or force your opponent to do something else. It is a game of mind-bending customization where every single match is followed up with, oh man, what if I put X with Y and use Z? That would be insane. The strategy volume of it makes it an absolute mainstay for this kind of genre. I played StarCraft 2 on stream a bit ago, and I was so impressed
never
at
played
how
that game.
terrible I was. I want to make this very clear, chat. I want to make this extremely clear. Shut the fuck up. It was an insane level of skill and strategy needed to be good at that game. Though it felt so good to play a game that needed high-level strategy again. I get the
Ah, yes, the potato chip strategy. Truly one of the most effective. And I am a big fan and proponent of myself. I'm sure nobody would ever notice that. Shit, now I'm actually hungry. I shouldn't have made that joke. I regret everything. This is why I should eat breakfast and maybe, considering the time, lunch as well. Well, that's on me.
the exact same feeling from Moonbreaker. I need to think, deliberate, be intelligent. That's quite difficult.
I might be
and
out there.
being a good tactician will win you games more than a team or percentage to hit chance ever will. And this...
I mean, I'd agree with that because I've played games that have the XCOM style hitting. 95% chance to hit is still 0. So percentage chance doesn't affect anything. I assume it's going to miss anyways. I wish that was a joke. Yeah.
This is just the gameplay. Everything else about this game is excellent too. Like,
What other
as
things
you've
do they
been
have?
hearing lately, the voice acting work is amazing.
Yeah?
Ah, the art of surprise. Ready yourself.
Good
for
lines dropped in.
doom.
In fact, it was a shame I couldn't find the individual voice lines for the characters on YouTube. So I reached out to the community manager, and the devs gave me the actual sound files so I could use them in this video.
Seriously?
And the voice acting talent they have is insanity. You might be able to recognize a ton on the voice alone. Zax is our beloved Matt Mercer. That's an easy one.
I hate littering, but if you ignore it, maybe it'll go away. Ugh, it's glistening.
But Beatrice is voiced by Carla Tassara, who voices Judy in Cyberpunk. And can I just say, when I got the folder of voice lines for this video, I didn't realize how many are in it. I was listening to them and cracking myself up because they weren't just good, they were kind of funny. Like, Beatrice is an enforcer, but her joke is that her armor is really fucking heavy. So
I won't yield. Nice and far. Let me at them. Bravery requires teensy breaks. They'll break. The wings were a bad choice. This is getting silly.
Then Airier, my beloved, is the loner sniper, right? Voiced by Christina Milizia. She has this super dorky, adorable attitude in all her stuff.
I see them. Hope they don't see me. That's close enough. Gonna curl up with a book on the ship. Glad we invited you, Aria. I could hide in the corner. I'm okay. Avert your eyes. I wonder what would happen if I ate some cinder.
And she played Annie, Amumu, and Nunu in League back in 2009.
Gonna be completely honest, I've never played League. I have no idea what any of those characters are. I'm assuming they were playable? Let's just go with that.
Greg Chun plays Entios, a low-cost character who's all about punching.
Let us punch. Who says you cannot punch down the fist that feeds? Clenched and ready. You
It's
can
actually just
unlearn.
punching.
You can't unpunch.
League of Legends players, as if they aren't debilitated enough, are probably reeling from hearing Master Yi in another title. And then there's
What?
Broken Vengeance. And I mean, come on. You know who this is.
Vengeance here. Fine. Payback with a side of soiled shorts. If someone changed these settings, I'm gonna change their settings.
Oh, and side note, as if I could call an OST a side note.
Okay, you got me on that one. It's been so long since I played Overwatch, I actually forgot that completely. I played it in the before times when there was only loot box drama. I wish I hadn't said that because it's just depressing me.
All the music in the background of these voice lines is from the game. The game has a bopping soundtrack that has absolutely zero right to go this hard.
Oh, I thought that was just something he found. This is just game? If you hadn't told me, I would have assumed that was some kind of Halo theme for when the fight is about to get the final boss on the screen and everything. And wow, this game is going hard.
The entire audio department have killed it here. Between the attacking sounds, voice lines, and soundtrack, the whole thing is top level, one after the other. Though I think it's not just audio, but like rather the games feel as a whole. I've harped on art direction before, but I must say that Moonbreaker in its own right has a feeling that I haven't gotten in a game of its type.
The lore, I want to hear more about because I love Sanderson, but I think I know where the biggest drop here is that when you have this top-down view, a lot of the character detail is lost. When you have the straight-on look of it, they're super detailed, but when you look straight down, and honestly, I probably would be staring at these more than this. If it was a standard level monitor, a lot of the detail is missing because of where you're looking at it for, which is what you would do in a model game. But in a model game, you can pick up and hold your models, so it's a lot easier to deal with. So you know what you're looking at. You don't really get the chance to observe your enemy models unless you ask them, and that sometimes you will. Sometimes you realize this person might shank you if you look at them too hard and you want to run away screaming. Maybe that's just my own experience. I'm going to hope it is, because if you have, I am so sorry. But yeah, I think it all kind of blends together in the art style. And that's the biggest problem. While it's all distinct, it's all kind of distinct in a very high saturated way, in a high saturated background. So nothing really stands out except the indication of health right above the character.
Type. The lore and universe is written by Brandon Sanderson, which many of you will no doubt be familiar with.
Yeah.
I and myself am not too familiar with him, but if this is
Seriously?
the kind of stuff he makes, I think I might need to check it out a bit more.
Bricky, please tell me you did check him out. His writing is freaking amazing. He wrote an entire story that was mostly a woman describing the cell she was captured and basically imprisoned in for, I think, a year or less. And it was fascinating. It was a short story for him of a mere, 50,000 words? And it was insanely good. Might have been 75,000 for all I know. I think it was The Emperor's Soul is the name of it. Very good. Very great writing.
Like, it has this sci-fi swashbuckling multicultural feel to it. It's extremely colorful and cheery. The characters all have distinct personalities that tells you what they're about, but also a kind of a playful attitude. I think we can all agree that Marvel humor has gotten a bit out of hand, but it's less
Yeah.
out of hand when the material it's in is supposed to be laid back and overly silly. Moonbreaker is really laid back. I mean, it isn't Stalker. You saw this in the voice lines plenty. It's silly and fun and enjoyable overall, and everyone has a shtick. It even translates to their movement. Like originally, I heard criticism that the units themselves don't have animations. They don't move as they are just static tabletop board pieces. But I think the lack of movement actually adds to their personality. Like firstly, if they moved, then the whole aspect of painting is kind of lost. Painting a mini has to be static because then you can highlight it a certain way, do zenithal highlights, object source lighting, and get the recesses shaded, all that other kind of jazz. But the movement is like a kid is playing toy soldiers and making vroom vroom stomp stomp sounds as they go around.
I've never done that. I have no idea what you're talking about there, Bricky. That is the least favorite thing I do every single time.
Maximus, for example, is all full of himself, you know, the light-footed character. So he just bounces around as he moves. Zax is on a rocket, so he just lifts off and comes back down.
Oh, so
Gardener is a big chunky plant bomb, so he stomps around with big lungering footsteps.
So the animation isn't in the character. It's how the model moves based on as if you were playing with it yourself and making those specific motions to go with it. Oh.
Chris is thick and heavy. Hit and Run's got the zoomies. Motherfucking Dome will just jump and slam, and I could go on and on. Characters not being animated actually sells their character even more just from how they move and react on the battlefield. Like, I hope, I pray even, that you can understand why I have been having so much fun with this game. You know, me, the Warhammer guy and everything like that. It's literally almost everything I could have wanted for a game like this. Getting good matches is such a brilliant time.
Unironically, I still think if they just did like a DLC where it was just, here's a Warhammer campaign with Warhammer characters, it would not be the dumbest thing Warhammer has ever put their branding on. Tacticus, man.
The game itself is fun, and there's so much to think about. Being reactive and proactive, painting up your own special army, making it your own. It really has all the hallmarks of one of the best strategy games on Steam, and I say that with full confidence. So, what happened? Why is the player count so low at the moment? Honestly, I think it's marketing. You know, we talked in my AAA video about the amount of money, millions and millions of dollars that go towards the marketing budget. Moonbreaker, despite being done by Unknown Worlds, despite being written by Brandon Sanderson, and
I mean, I will give them the thing where, as much as having Subnautica as their background is, this is such a completely different style of game that it probably wouldn't have a crossover fan base, at least in the same immediate sense. A lot of people will probably give them credit for being able to do that and do Subnautica, but it's so radically different. Instead of being a first-person horror survival game, this is a lighthearted model playing game for skirmish battles, which I love, but I could see that not applying to everyone. It's a big change in genre.
Wet dream has barely seen any press. I know this because they hired me. Not for this video. No, this video already had a sponsor. This video isn't sponsored by Moonbreaker. And I have to say that legally.
That was going to be a
right?
secondary
like
one.
If it was, and I didn't tell you, I would be breaking the law, and the FTC would be on my ass. No.
In like a decade when they finally get around to it, if they ever do.
I was actually given a sponsorship for Moonbreaker many months ago. 8 streams, 2 hours minimum. And as you can tell, it's got its grips in me, claws sunk deep. It was a total blast, but it didn't appear to pay off in numbers. And I think this was twofold. One, I mean, my Twitch stream is a fine size. It's got good numbers, but it's not insane.
I think my Twitch is at like 50 people, which is surprising considering I don't think I've done Twitch in a decade. Yeah, probably 8 years, or almost a decade. I don't know why people actually follow me on that channel. I completely don't touch it ever. I don't even remember how to log in.
That would have been better suited to some of the much larger streamers who have taken interest in this kind of game. But secondly, when I streamed it, this game was massively different. There was no objective mode. It was only kill the enemy captain. That was the whole point. So it created kind of these turtle builds or arm race builds, and the games went on for way too long. Plus, there wasn't quite enough in terms of captains and crew. Now, The game has been hugely overhauled. 5 captains, not 3. Tons of new crew. The new objective game mode making it significantly more balanced and giving all units a place. They redid how Cinder worked, how crew deployment worked. They rebalanced a ton of
So,
units. And
second
for
edition.
God's sakes, by the time this video is out, they're doing it again. Who knows what new things could be added even by the time I finish this script. I say that knowing full well what's going to be added. A few videos ago, I made my
Wait. AAA Games, AAA. Bricky, Game Buyer. The Legend of Bricky, cost of the game. Bricky Fall. Let's give them a little credit. Out of all of these, 2 of them were good. And then Redfall was so bad, it actually killed its own studio. Granted, the people working with them were also shit, but let's ignore that because it hurts to bring up.
what even is AAA gaming video, right?
A sack of lies. I'm horrible at quoting Castlevania, but you know what I'm going with on that one. If you do, nice. And if you don't, assume it was a really geeky reference that would have you lose all faith in me if you had any to start with.
I'm a rant, it's all right. I mentioned Moonbreaker in that video. And then I get an email, CEO of Unknown Worlds and design director of Moonbreaker, Mr. Charlie Moon, sent me an email and said, hey, thanks for the shout out. I love to talk about the game more with you. And I took him up on it. We just chatted for a couple hours, just about the game, where it's going, what the plan was. I asked some hard questions about player count, about what the plan is, about here, there, and everywhere. I apologized for not bringing enough people into the game with my streams, despite, you know, still already being paid for it. The guy was a CEO for Subnautica as well, you know, design director of that game. For the last 5 years, they've been working
so he's
on
actually
this
deeply
game,
involved then.
specifically Moonbreaker. The
That's
excitement
important.
in his voice in the discussions were palpable, not just for what it is now, but for what it's becoming. He showed me the experimental branch changes, removal of summoning sickness, and new deployment strategies, how you place your units down, a new...
Is there any chance they would put a PvE mode in there? Because as someone who doesn't like dealing with PvP, I would love that, just to pull up what kind of crazy ass build I can do, even like a leaderboard, to see how crazy damage I could pull out in this certain time limit.
tug of war victory points.
It's like, how combo can you combo by comparison to other people's combos?
Not just reach 10, new captain ideas, new crew ideas, and even something months out, roster perks, special perks that you can get depending on what captain you run and how many.
Oh, so team building actually would matter then.
Carry. And like, I don't even think I've discussed painting enough. Like, I don't think you realize how good this system is. It's so addictive. There are people who don't play, you know, tabletop board games. They just build and paint minis because they love the act of doing so. I thoroughly believe that if you don't enjoy the gameplay of Moonbreaker, you can still sink ungodly hours into the painting system. Way back when I was contracted to stream the game, they were 2-hour streams each time.
If they had a custom option where if you win the game with your models, you can just send a request to them and have them, like, you just pay them right up to print out your model and send it back with your specific coloration. It would be incredibly wasteful and in no way, shape, or form a good business move, but that would be cool, man. I mean, they would also probably go out of business trying to do that, but details aside, it's a great idea as long as you don't actually know what a great idea is.
Sometimes half of that stream, a full hour, was just me painting my unit. I think one of the streams I only painted, but then I would use those units to beat on fools. I cannot express this enough. There is no facet of this game I dislike. Maybe the options menu. It's a bit low on graphical options and stuff, but everything else I have described has been phenomenal. The gameplay is deep and rewarding. It's tactical and varied. The graphics are bright and colorful with characters voiced by top tier unionized voice talent. The soundtrack is phenomenal, and all of this whole package is technically still early access. This puts other early access projects
or a
to
year
shame.
later, still
no
early
lag,
access.
not one crash.
Wait,
it
what?
feels feature complete.
I didn't know you could do games like that anymore. Maybe I'm just used to AAA games that are absolutely piles of shit, but I didn't know you could have a game that would be online and involve PvP that doesn't crash or lag somehow. I mean, this is, you know, turn-based, so it doesn't have the worst usage of it, but still. Wow.
As far as I'm concerned, this is a YouTuber's dream. You know, I had the streams way back when, but I just mentioned this game in a video, and I got head honcho Charlie Dr. Moon contact me to talk about the game, and we just shot the shit. He was really nice, and he seemed like he had such a level of passion for the game, and I could tell that like the player count and stuff was really waning on him. All the things I just said, roster perks, all that fancy stuff, that's not really public knowledge. He showed it to me because he was excited, and I was like, am I allowed to say this? And he said, one sec.
He didn't. That. What? The fact that he even had to ask in the first place means I'm so used to the CEO giving, or not just a CEO, any CEO giving any information about anything they're involved in, mostly games, but a lot of other places giving the most boilerplate. This is why we're a great answer. But for a guy just to give out information because he's so excited that he has to double check to see if he's even allowed, and he's a CEO, that's a level of passion that actually is inspiring.
I have to ask.
I need to double check if this game's doing better.
There's going to be a question posed by the end of this video. You're going to ask, should I buy Moonbreaker? Let's say you loved what you saw, but you're worried about the player count and longevity, because low player count is a big fear for a lot of people. So
as long as they add a PvE or an AI mode in there, it would still be playable even if the servers go down. Or if they added local play, so you wouldn't need to worry about game servers directly.
I say this, if Moonbreaker has a player count of even a few hundred, that's enough. This isn't a 6v6 multiplayer.
So you don't need a
shooter
ton of
with
people to
lots
play,
of
you just need at
regions and
least a few
skill
others.
levels. This is a one-on-one turn-based strategy PvP game. You only need 2 players for a game. Ping doesn't matter. It's turn-based, so location isn't a worry. The player count needed for this game to feel like it's totally dead is substantially lower than almost every other game. What this game truly needs is just confidence. It's $30, and I think
even
it's
highlighting the lines.
extremely worth the price. To further prove my enjoyment of this game, I plan on streaming it on this YouTube channel for 3 streams for a few days after this video goes live, just to make it even more apparent. Whew. Rounding this out, when I was speaking with Mr. Breaker, we discussed Subnautica's propelled success. We were reminded of Jacksepticeye, who played the game and really skyrocketed into popularity.
Oh, he's the
pushing
reason
not
it took
only
off?
his own YouTube channel to bigger heights, but the game as well. I'm not Jacksepticeye. More come! I don't think I have the
What? You know what? I'm not going to ask what the situation was to have him say that, because I'm sure someone would tell me, and I'm not sure I want to know. Oh, God. Although now that he said that, I could actually hear Jack shouting that in my own head with an Irish accent, so yeah, that's a thing.
The reach to do anything similar. But in this world, with what AAA gaming has become, and all the things I ranted about in that previous video, this is an early access game that has more character than $70 games, is better optimized than $70 games.
It's a low bar, but one I'm still surprised when they meet, and I'm glad he's mentioning that.
Treats its player base better than $70 games, is less than half the price, and made by 30 people in a niche that can genuinely explode with the right push. And
wait, all of this is only made by 30 people total? That's actually insane. And it might reduce their overall price just to run the company itself. So maybe it wouldn't be so bad to just have small amounts of people playing.
Right there should be celebrated. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope I got it through to all of you that I really like this game. This is not a sponsored thing for that. This is not any of that stuff. I am genuine.
Just pull it up on Steam, see if it's even up.
I adore this title. I like the people who are making it. I like the conversations I had with the CEO. And at the end of the day, if this really blows up and does extremely well, I could totally see Games Workshop contracting them for some kind of DLC expansion or whatever.
See, I'm not the only one thinking it.
It would be arguably one of the best Warhammer tabletop games ever.
And it would get rid of so much movement shenanigans because the system already takes care of it, which is really the biggest issue I've ever had. The entire, well, I moved this person this far, but it's not quite as far. I need to rotate or just, yeah. If you've done the tabletop, you know what I'm talking about, and I'm not sorry for bringing it up. You already know what you're into at this point.
I genuinely believe that. I'll go ahead and leave the Steam link for the game in the description. Check it out. give it a look. I'll be streaming it on this channel anyway. You can watch me do that regardless. Thank you so much for watching. We're covering another strategy game next. A different kind, auto battler kind of game, but it'll be a good one. Bye-bye.
So yeah, just checking this out right now. That's kind of concerning. I checked it out. There's no one streaming it right now. The game is still for sale. It's had updates this year, but it looks like as of right now, at least on Steam, 2 people are playing it. So I gotta say, on the one hand, this game looks really cool and really engaging, and you could just get lost on it as a tabletop player who just may or may not be a little sick of all of the, let's go with, fun points that Games Workshop can drop down sometimes in the game every now and again. You're just like, you know what, let's just not. The only problem is I would like a game that had a PvE mode, because I would love to have this level of customization, this level of intensity and strategy, but not have to rely on there being other people playing. And considering the Steam chart right now had 2, yeah, they just add a PvE mode, I will go into Steam right now and pick it up. But if they don't have that, it's kind of hard to do that. This game looks interesting and good and has great acting, and they got frickin' Sanderson to write it. I want to hear this did good, but I'm kind of disappointed to see it. Seems like it just fell short because that level of detail wasn't for everyone. If they ever did do a Warhammer DLC, it probably would have knocked everything out and done amazing, but that's a very different player base. Either way, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. If I'm wrong, if I may be pulling up the incorrect statistics, let me know, because I would love to hear that I'm wrong and this game's actually doing great now. Or if there is a PvE mode, and I would very much play that. Let me know about that immediately, please. And if you do, thanks. And if you don't, lie to me and tell me anyways, because I like really appreciate that up until I buy the game and find out I'm wrong. But details aside, it would be interesting to find out. Either way, I'll see you guys then. Adios.